After the epicness of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and just the whole Xenoblade franchise as a whole, it got me thinking about what Monolith Soft is exactly going to do next. And we do actually have a little bit of information on that Tetsuya Takahashi and Monolith Soft has spoke about. Now, this was covered a bit on this channel and even other places, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth in terms of what Monolith Soft had to say and what we could see for the next major Xenoblade Chronicles games. Because if you've played Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Future Redeemed and seen the ending and everything, you know that this series is absolutely going to continue, but what they can do is something that could blow everyone's mind. So we're going to talk about that and what they can do to improve the formula, change things up, and what it could all come to be and when we could see this. But before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first. Now, this information is mainly coming from a huge Ask the Developer that Nintendo did with Monolith Soft back when Xenoblade Chronicles 3 released, right around that time. And most of it is talking about the gameplay systems, the mechanics, the content. There's a bunch of chapters. If you guys want to check it out, I'll have it linked in the comment section, but you can just search it up. It's just Ask the Developer Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and you will see it there. And there's some really cool information into the insight of a AAA or massive Monolith Soft game and just the crazy amount of work that goes into this. Honestly, these guys work harder than pretty much anybody in the industry, in my opinion, and they should be rewarded for their work. So obviously, if you have not got into Xenoblade Chronicles yet, now is a perfect time to get into Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Future Redeemed. Now is the time, so make sure you guys get into it if you haven't already done so. But I wanted to go over a very interesting part from the Senior Director and Chief Creative Officer, that is Tetsuya Takahashi, the producer and director for Monolith Soft, that is Ko Kojima, and the person that is the liaison between Nintendo and Monolith Soft. Because remember, while Monolith Soft is a first-party developer for Nintendo, they are a subsidiary. They were outside of Nintendo and then they were purchased. So they still operate as if they were their own company, and of course Nintendo has their liaisons that interact between them. But obviously with them being purchased by Nintendo, there are different things that they've changed over a number of years. And the person that is the liaison between them is Genki Yokota from Nintendo EPD Production Group 2. Now, for those who don't know, Monolith Soft has around 4 to 5 different locations in Japan. Their main building is in Moguro, Tokyo, but they have support studios that help out with Nintendo's games like Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword. They've been helping out on Animal Crossing, Splatoon. It's been a variety of games. Then they have their main teams that are also working on their original projects that they've made for other companies and themselves, and usually just themselves with Nintendo recently with these Xenoblade Chronicles games. They have nearly 260 or so employees. I know they peaked at around 270 about a year or two ago, but they're right around the 260 mark, and they have a lot of interesting things going on right now. There's a lot of secret projects, things that they're working on. The work never really stops overall, although people do get their breaks and their bonuses and take their vacations and stuff after big games. And after the hit that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was, a lot of people are asking about what they can do for Xenoblade Chronicles 4 or the next Xenoblade game. Some people have felt that this would be the end to the Xenoblade series, but that's not the case. Now, once again, in a Ask the Developer, they were specifically asked about this, and I wanted to go over what they had to say. Now, in the last part 3 of the Ask the Developer, they were asked a question about the series and kind of what's going on and what you want to talk about, highlights and the recommendations for players. And Mr. Tetsuya Takahashi had a very interesting thing to say. And he said this, quote, "We have talked about this in terms of being a accumulation, closure, or summary, but it has been approximately 15 years since we began development on the Xenoblade Chronicles series. I feel that this game represents everything we have done so far and is filled with answers to all of our questions. At the same time, we have taken on a variety of new challenges in this work, and I believe that we were able to implicitly share a glimpse of what Monolith Soft wants to achieve in the future. A glimpse, let me repeat that, a glimpse of what Monolith Soft wants to achieve in the future with what they've done with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Future Redeemed. That is a very important note to kind of say right there, a glimpse of what Monolith Soft wants to achieve in the future. I think imagining what Monolith Soft's future games will look like while playing this title would be another way to enjoy it. Imagining what their future games will look like while playing this title. That has another implication that I will go over and is incredibly interesting because it foreshadows what Nintendo is doing and what we've been hearing lately. Continuing on here. Also, this is the third title in the series, but you can, of course, enjoy it on its own. We believe that both newcomers and those who have been playing this series for a long time will enjoy this title. We hope you will give it a try. Now, that is kind of like half true. Yes, you can enjoy it on its own when it comes to the gameplay and when it comes to the story and stuff, but to really enjoy this game, you need to play Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 and the DLCs, and you need to understand the story. If you don't, then this game isn't quite as enjoyable, and you might lose motivation to play through it, but if you know the story and you want those answers, you will power through these games. So I do recommend playing Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 before you really jump into 3. And then after that, they did ask one more question about this whole situation. And they said, finally, I would ask Yokota-san a question. You mentioned that this title is a accumulation of the series, but am I right to assume that the Xenoblade Chronicles series will still go on? And Yokota said, yes, it will still go on. I want to keep it going as long as possible. So considering what Takahashi had to say here and also what Yokota had to say here about this series continuing, we can all expect there to be a Xenoblade Chronicles 4. We can expect there to be some awesomeness with what they're doing, but it's the combination of what Takahashi said and also what Yokota had to say here that's very interesting. He's the liaison between them. Ko Kojima is the producer and the director. Tetsuya Takahashi is the senior director and chief creative officer. So these guys are the ones that are really making the big decisions about the direction of Monolith Soft and what they're going to do. Now, when he talked about a glimpse of what they want to achieve, if you've played Xenoblade Chronicles 3, what that game does is that it takes a seamless open world. The first time that they really truly had that seamless open world on the Nintendo Switch. Xenoblade Chronicles X had it, but on the Switch with the Xenoblade games, with the mainline trilogy or the Claw Saga, they haven't had a real seamless open world, but also have unique playable characters across to where you can seamlessly switch at any time in battle or out of battle. That is something that they really had to work hard to get working on the Nintendo Switch and to get it looking decently without blurring down to like 140p or something like that in portable mode. So I think they really wanted to say, okay, we want to do these large scale battles. We want to give you guys a lot of freedom and a lot of different things. And that's just a taste of what we're going to be doing in the future. And what are they going to be doing in the future? Remember what Takahashi had to say here? Monolith Soft's future games will look like while playing this is another way to enjoy it. So having that seamless open world, having that incredible story narrative, and also having that narrative to where if you want to explore more, Xenoblade 3 did something that 1 and 2 didn't, and it cut out so much of the useless BS and streamlined so many different things to the point to where anyone can kind of jump in, right? You have different difficulty levels, jump in, play, and get the game done within about probably 50 to 60 hours if you're just going straight through. But if you want to really get the most out of the game and do all the side quests, which a lot of the side quests are like main quests, and they got rid of a lot of the silly little quests that were just annoying in Xenoblade 1 and 2, I think that's a part of what they want to do in the future, is streamlining in addition to making it more impactful for the players who actually play through. And another thing here, the future games will look like. Yes, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 absolutely, to me, has the best graphics when it comes to the Xenoblade trilogy on the Nintendo Switch. Definitely looks the best out of all of the games. But in the future, we're also talking about Nintendo Switch 2, what they're going to do in the future. It's just a glimpse of what they're doing, and they're going to take that to the next level with the Nintendo Switch 2 or what they're doing next. Obviously, Takahashi, Monolith Soft, they have Nintendo Switch 2 development kits. They know generally around the time that the system's going to launch, and Nintendo knows that Monolith Soft is a huge part of what Nintendo does at this point, from a support studio standpoint with Zelda, Animal Crossing, Splatoon, in addition to a game development standpoint with Xenoblade Chronicles and what they've done there. I think that Takahashi and team, they wanted to kind of give us a glimpse of what they want to achieve, but I think that the struggle obviously is trying to get that done on the Nintendo Switch, which they did an incredible job, but you can tell there was definitely some areas where the system was struggling. So in the future, just the glimpse of what they were able to show us, I think in the future for the Nintendo Switch 2, we could see whole sets of characters being able to switch between more than 6, 7, 8 characters on the fly, no problem whatsoever, seamless open world battles where you can get in, get out, because unlike other games, like let's say Tales of Arise, for example, on stronger hardware, those load into a battle scene, whereas Xenoblade Chronicles 3 does not. The battles take place right then and there. You go in, go out, you can leave anytime if you want to run away, and all the monsters and everything are still in the background as this happens. So I think that with the limitations of the Nintendo Switch, which they did a great job with, those are going to be unshackled with the next Nintendo system, and they're going to really be able to show us what they want to do with a battle system, with the characters, with the open world, with what they want to do with everything, the storytelling, what they can accomplish. So I love what Takahashi had to say here, because I think it does give us a glimpse into what they're going to be doing with the next Xenoblade game, or what they're going to be doing with the next game in general, the next big new IP or something different, because we're talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 4 in this video, but this could ultimately be a new line, pretty much a new IP, but with the Xenoblade Chronicles name. So they change up the gameplay, they change up the style and flow and different things, and they completely change up what they want to do. So like a reimagining of what Xenoblade is after what happened in Future Redeemed. So to me, this is something that's going to be incredible to see. And as I analyzed and I went through all of what they said here, it made me kind of have like a light bulb moment, like, oh my goodness, this is kind of what they're probably alluding to. And a lot of people really haven't talked about too much. Now, I do want to go over just a number of different things from the Xenoblade games where I think that they can also improve as well. Keeping what works from Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I think the streamlined approach was good. The quality of life features was really good. Having the track path to where you can kind of just say, okay, this is where I need to go, but then you can go off the beat to know exactly when you can explore other areas. That's great. Love what they did with that. The incredible cutscenes, they can build upon that, but also building upon what they do in the combat system. And I think that the UI is something that they can absolutely improve upon. It works and it's kind of needed for how Xenoblade Chronicles plays, but at the same time, I think they can make some streamlining to where it's not so cluttered on the screen, or they kind of make it to where it's a little bit more sleek within where the battles are and what they want to do. So there's absolutely room to get better, but there's also ways they can improve upon what they've already done, and I cannot wait to see what they do next. Xenoblade Chronicles 4, whatever you want to call it, Xenoblade Chronicles Next. Is it going to be Xenosaga? Is it going to be something completely different, brand new IP? Whatever they do, it's going to be an accumulation of a lot of the combat experience, a lot of the games that they've already done, kind of putting everything together based on what Takahashi had to say here. And it's going to be a sight to behold. Now, when could we actually see this? Well, I personally feel that the next Xenoblade game or the next Monolith Soft title will be revealed at the Nintendo Switch 2 real event. I think Nintendo's going to play this one close to their chest until it's completely ready to go. So I'm expecting there to be a Nintendo Switch 2 trailer that just pops up that says, okay, we're going to show you guys the next system. Now, I don't think it's going to be at that one, and I'm going based off what they did with the Nintendo Switch. I don't think it's going to be at that one, or maybe there's a slight glimpse, but I think they're really going to show it if they have like an event, like the January 2017 presentation that they did, which was just a rousing success in terms of things overall. When you go back and look at all the content that was there, that's when we first saw Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So I do feel that we could see the next Monolith Soft title, whether that's Xenoblade 4, the next evolution of Xenoblade Chronicles, a new IP, whatever the case is, it could be shown off there because it got such a great reception and helped boost the game as they marketed the game all throughout the year until its launch in December. So what do you guys think overall about this? What do you want to see with the next Xenoblade Chronicles games, from the next things from Monolith Soft? Let me know in the comment section below, and make sure you check out more of our content right here on screen. I went over my top 25 Nintendo Switch games. Spoiler alert, there's Xenoblade games on there. Also, I went over some of the big news recently with Xenoblade Chronicles and Fire Emblem if you haven't seen that video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.